It is officially 7:03. This is the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of the City of Richfield, happening September 16th, 2024. I'll call this meeting to order. We'll start with our open forum. So each speaker is to keep their comment period to 3 minutes to allow sufficient time for others. Comments are an opportunity to address the HRA. You can refer to the HRA agenda and minutes webpage for additional ways to submit comments. You can also call into the open forum by dialing 1-415-655-0001 using webinar access code 2630-079-8317, and the password is 1234. Is there anybody here to speak at the open forum? All right, anybody called in? All righty. If anybody does call in, as always, let us know. We will move on to approval of the minutes of the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of August 19th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any changes to anything? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The minutes have been approved. That takes us to our first presentation. So number one, our local sales tax presentation. I will toss it over to Executive Director Palman.
Thank you. City Manager Katie Rodriguez and Recreation Services Director Carl Humiller are here tonight to present to you on the local option sales tax. I'll turn it right over to them.
Thank you, Director. And good evening, Commissioners. Thanks for having us here tonight. I actually have a question, and Commissioners Supple and Hayford-O'Leary don't need to answer, but how many people are familiar with the questions that are going to be on the ballot this fall? Okay. Yeah. How about the projects that they will fund? Okay. Well, we will leave time for lots of questions. Yeah.
Yes, it is also in your packet. I don't know if you can view your packet on your screens. Okay, the presentation is included in your packet.
Chair, actually, Clerk Friedrich, if you want to try the lectern PC and see if that works, and then you'll just have to move it for me there. Yeah.
We just have to give it like 3 seconds here.
Yeah, there's a little delay. Is it up now? Okay, there we go. All right, we'll get started. So we've got 3 projects. And Richfield, as you know, was built out really quickly in the 60s. The infrastructure, a lot of it is original, and it is past its useful life. And thanks to some maintenance over the years, some of these projects are replacing original infrastructure, or it's the first major maintenance that we've had on it. The 3 main projects are a new building at Woodlake Nature Center, various major maintenance at Vets Park, including the pool, the trails, the picnic shelter, and upgrades to the ice arena. These 2 projects would start next year. And then the third is a new community center building, and that would start in 2029 or 2030, although we would begin engagement in 2026 to help shape the project. And please do interrupt me with questions as I go on. The community center used to be a public library, and it was not built for recreation programming. Here's a list of some of the needs that would be addressed with the new building. Some things to note: the mechanicals are starting to fail. There are water issues, and the building will never accommodate the kind of programming that Richfield residents are asking for. The current Wood Lake Nature Center has also outgrown its building. It seems like nature is reclaiming it. There are snakes in the walls, there's rodents that are getting in, and it also has erosion issues. It is not energy efficient and it is not ADA accessible. Also, there's not enough room to accommodate the demand for the building. You'll see a theme here. Many of the basic infrastructure and mechanical systems at Vets Park need replacement. The pool liner is 63 years old. People don't believe me when I tell them that. It is original. Each year when we fill it up, we hold our breath as it settles. And one year we actually had some emergency repairs, and thanks to our staff for patching it up, but it is on borrowed time. The trails are starting to get to the point that we're having some safety concerns because of their condition. Also making the ice arena accessible is a goal, and the roof over the picnic pavilion needs to be upgraded as well. So how did we develop these plans? A lot of it was listening to residents. We've heard for years about the desires for more modern amenities at these parks. We recently invited more targeted engagement to get the details so we could shape these projects. We've also had the facilities assessed, and just one example is at the community center, just to address the problem infrastructure and mechanicals, it would be $10 million. And that's like just to get it up to snuff. That is not expanding it and allowing for other recreation programming. So I'm going to talk about the plans for the projects, and I will note that Director Hugh Miller is the expert on all these projects, so please do ask questions. The community center is in the early stages of the planning, since the start date is 4 to 5 years out. We will ramp up engagement with residents in 2026, though. We've heard from people of all ages that they need indoor gathering space. We are in Minnesota after all. We hear from seniors that they want an indoor walking track. We hear from youth that they want more gym space. We hear from families that they really want more playtime. They all want space to gather indoors and build community. Carl and I just worked a table at Penn Fest yesterday, and it was great to share some of the details of the projects because people are really excited, not just about the community center, but about all the projects. We were pleased to secure $3 million in federal funding and $12 million in state funding. We got funded at a really high level that year compared to the other cities, so really happy about that. And of course, that means that the ask to the residents through the local sales tax is a lesser dollar amount. We just had a couple work sessions on the project, and it was really exciting to see the new building take shape. We just added this slide with some of the pictures from that August 28th work session. And as they were presenting it, I remember when I was hired, I was told by several people actually that Wood Lake Nature Center it's a Richfield treasure. And so you feel a little pressure to make sure that building lives up to expectations. And I really do feel like that it will, and it will preserve this oasis of nature in the heart of our community. I've already talked about some of the major maintenance planned at Vets Park, but I didn't talk about how well used Vets Park is. In recent years, we've had record-breaking attendance at the farmers market, the ice arena, and the pool. We've also had increasing demand for really large parties to rent our parks, Veterans Park. It will take investment, though, to make sure that this well-loved park is there for generations to come. Our funding plan includes the state and federal funding that I've talked about. Also, a proposal that'll be on your ballot, for a half-cent local sales tax. Voters have the final say on this, and the vote is this fall, although I say that as if it's in the distant future, and early voting starts in 4 days. We had U of M analyze a local sales tax, and they project that 45% of the tax would be paid by Richfield taxpayers, and the rest would be by non-residents. It's important to note that all the surrounding cities, Bloomington, Edina, and Minneapolis, all have a local sales tax. So then when they're shopping in Richfield, they're paying, so when they shop in Richfield, if we have a local sales tax, they would be paying for those amenities that they use, just like we're doing when we shop in their communities now. The U of M study estimates that residents would pay just shy of $4 a month if all 3 questions passed. That's about $47 a year. By comparison, it would be about $21 a month in property taxes on an average Richfield home. And it's also important to point out that even though renters don't directly pay property taxes, they do pay it through their rent. Also important is to note is the local sales tax will expire when the projects are paid for or a maximum of 20 years. Any changes need to be approved by the voters, like we can only spend that local sales tax on these projects. Here's a sample ballot. There will be 3 questions on your ballot, 1 for each project, and the questions are on their own, so they either pass or fail on their own. The local sales tax is 0.5% and a maximum of 20 years, whether 1 question, 2 questions, or 3 questions pass. We did take quite a bit of time with the council to make sure there's clarifying language on the ballot, but we're still getting questions on it. So I just want to say it again, no matter how many questions pass, it will only be 0.5%, and it will be a maximum of 20 years. If only 1 or 2 questions passed, it's possible they could get paid off. Well, actually, even if all 3 get passed, it's possible they would be paid off sooner. You can access the sample ballot at the Minnesota Secretary of State's office. You can also access it on our website. If the local sales tax projects don't pass, we would bring it back, the plans back to City Council. It's possible that the projects could be funded by property taxes, and also the city would lose if they don't pass, the city would lose that $12 million in funding for the state if Woodlake Nature Center project did not go forward. Also, we're at the point with some of these amenities that if we don't replace them, then we would have to just eliminate the amenities, and like the pool is an example of that. So on our website, you can access the Visit Our Legacy, Our Future.org website. It's got a lot of information on there. We are actively adding to that frequently asked question page. So if we hear a question while we're out in the community making these presentations, we're adding it to the page. If you have questions now, let us know, and you can always ask us later too.
Anyone have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
So this weekend I was at the farmers market and also at Penn Fest, and there are a lot of people discussing this. And one question that came up that I wasn't sure of the answer to had to do with like the trails at Veterans Park, because they talked about making the trails more accessible. And the person there was talking about how they used to love the boardwalk, and why did we have just a viewing platform, and will the trails be reconfigured so they could do a short loop if they're like with a stroller going out of the playground, if we could, you know, add trails to make sure you could have a short loop. So it was 2 separate questions. One was about the viewing platform, and the other one's would any of the trails change?
Yeah, there's potential for the trails to change. We'll do some engagement before we redo the trails. But we're definitely thinking about at least 1 big paved trail around, and then potentially a shorter loop too. In regards to the boardwalk, part of the reason that was taken out was due to maintenance concerns. The long-term maintenance for a boardwalk is significantly higher than the trails or ground-based walking paths. And the viewing platform allows people and gives people the opportunity to experience the marsh and the lake in a different way than when you're on land, but has less ongoing maintenance and long-term liabilities for the city.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll just come and say thank you for going through this. I think, you know, as a resident and voter, I'm very excited about this. And I think the path forward to not raise our property taxes is the best one forward. So I'm excited to see that.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Oh, no, that's a picture. I don't want to see me. 1 second. Oh, there's 2 buttons. There we go. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this takes us to item number 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
It has been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? The agenda has been approved. Taking us to item number 3, the consent calendar. Executive Kellogg.
Thank you. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the HRA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further HRA action on these items is necessary. However, any HRA commissioner may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar and placed on the regular agenda for HRA discussion and action. All items listed on the consent calendar are recommended for approval. Item A on your calendar tonight is to approve the final revised executive director's official budget document, and item B is to consideration of a Section 8 payment standard adjustment. And I submit these items for your approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to remove anything from the consent calendar before we vote on it?
I move the consent calendar.
I'll second the consent calendar.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent calendar has been approved. Excellent. Taking us to item number 5, a public hearing regarding the consideration of approval of the Richfield Housing and Redevelopment Authority's 5-year public housing plan. I will hand that over to Executive Director Palin.
Thank you, Chair Freese-Daniels. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, requires every housing authority to develop a 5-year public housing plan within a required format. In order to remain compliant with HUD rules and regulations, after development of the PHA plan, comments and feedback are solicited from tenants. A public hearing must be held and the PHA plan approved by the local Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Once the PHA plan is approved by the HRA, it is submitted to HUD. The plan includes the following information: the HRA's goals and objectives for serving the needs of low-income, very low-income, and extremely low-income families, a progress report on HRA activities supporting low-income, very low-income, and extremely low-income families in the past 5 years, and the HRA's goals for serving the needs of victims of domestic violence in compliance with the Violence Against Women Act. I will mention, for those of you that were not around 5 years ago when we approved the PHA plan for the HRA and the Public Housing Authority, this PHA is a required document by HUD. Our Public Housing Authority only administers the Section 8 program. We do not own housing, we do not run housing, we do not have public housing that is owned by the HRA here. So in our case, this plan is fairly simple. It's very similar to the plan that's was approved 5 years ago, updating what we've done over the last 5 years, making sure that we are always compliant with HUD rules and regulations. Our program has been recognized as a high performer by HUD. So while I'm happy to answer any questions about it tonight, it's a fairly simple document when we only administer the Section 8 program.
Thank you. Any questions before we move to a motion? Yes, go ahead.
So can you say more about the section here where we're supposed to be serving the needs of victims of domestic violence in compliance with the Violence Against Women Act?
Thank you. Let me pull up the plan here and find that particular question. So in this case, the Housing Authority must provide a statement of our goals, activities, and objectives related to the Violence Against Women Act. In the document, we state that Richfield is acting in full accordance with VAWA, and that we are committed to ensure the physical safety of victims, actual or threatened domestic violence, dating violence, or stalking who are assisted by the HRA. We collaborate with law enforcement authorities, victim service providers, to promote the safety and well-being of victims of actual or threatened domestic violence, dating violence, or stalking. We do not deny assistance to victims due to verifiable domestic violence. Richfield HRA provides all participants with written information about these rules and regulations at the time of admission and whenever we have any new move-ins to our jurisdiction. When we are alerted that there is a VAWA issue, it's our standard operating procedure to walk a tenant through each step of the process in order to move them from their unit. This allows for a smooth and easy transaction and gives clients much needed support during this crisis. Richfield HRA also includes information about the program and notices of denial of assistance and termination of assistance. One of the benefits of having our Section 8 program administered in-house here really is the level of assistance that our staff can provide in these circumstances and in others. Did that answer the question?
The reason I was asking is I know there have been inquiries, so if somebody is trying to get out of an abusive situation, we've been able to help them use their voucher somewhere else without penalty. Is that
Yes,
how
I
it
believe
works?
that is how it works. Our staff will help them to find a new unit where they would be able to transfer that voucher. Yes.
And in the situations I'm aware of, the landlords have been very cooperative, but I just wanted to make sure we were doing our part as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, is there a motion for approval?
Madam Chair, I think we need to open a public hearing
Oh,
first.
thank you. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Madam Chair, I think you can just do it.
Okay, we'll open the public meeting. Thank you. We haven't had one of these in a while. Seeing there is no one here, is anyone called in? No, okay. So is there a motion to close the public hearing? That I know we vote on.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, or concerns about the public hearing closing? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The public hearing is now closed. Are we voting on just the public hearing?
No, we have to approve the plan.
Okay.
I move that we approve the plan per the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the Housing and Redevelopment Authority's 5-year public housing plan. Any comments, questions? I'll just say it's thank you for doing this, and I think it is also really nice to see the report from the past years on how we've been going about this and moving forward. And I know it's probably simpler than other authorities, considering we don't own housing, but I think it is still really important, and when we can go over these details, especially more important ones, it's really great to see. So thank you. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion has been passed. Taking us to item number 6, HRA discussion items. Is there any HRA discussion items? I will just maybe say, I had heard that PennFest was quite the hit, and I know that staff was there. I was unable to make it, but, and I know Commissioner Hanson is quite involved with that, so thank you for all your work you do.
Great, well, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
I will just request, if we don't have the information this month, but I thought Community Development had a cute little, foosball voting thing, and I'm hoping that the executive director can share the results of that vote, perhaps at a future meeting.
What were they voting on?
Like which programs they'd like to see more funded. As of when I saw it, I think energy efficiency and first-time home buyer were doing the best, but I'm curious what the final results were.
Awesome. Okay. Item number 7, Executive Director Hillman, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you. I do have a couple of updates tonight. I was going to mention how popular the housing programming game was at PennFest. The folks that worked PennFest took a much-needed day off today, some of them, so I do not have the results, but I will bring them. Another update related to the Astor Commons project, which is the project that is proposed for just across the street here at 66th and Portland. They unfortunately have not been selected for a tax credit award this year. They did receive an early denial letter. We will meet with them and Minnesota Housing to explore the scoring and any feedback on that project and talk with them about how we might move forward. The Penn Station project is still in the running for tax credits, and we would expect to hear about that late this year, early January. And we will keep you posted. Thank you.
Thanks. Taking us to item number 8, claims. Is there a motion to approve claims?
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Claims has been approved, and that takes us to adjournment. Thank you, everyone. We'll roll. No EDA tonight.
There, come in, there is an EDA meeting.
Yeah, see you later.
Oh, there is an EDA meeting. Yes, thank you. There is an EDA meeting. I'm noticing that the agenda is not pulled up on my computer, so perhaps it is not on yours either.
No. That's our default.
Okay, I'm opening.
So you should be able to access the agenda from the city's website.
Great.
So perhaps we can just pull it up
Because
that
we
way.
all pre-read it beforehand, so that's why we knew.
Yes.
Well, I did pre-read it, but when it's not there to
I
remind
know.
you, that's, okay.
I'm just teasing. Oops, E EDA.
Richfield. City
Oh.
government. It's good you stopped us.
We'll cut this out of the YouTube, right? 'Cause
We know people.
thank you.
Packet, here we go.
Okay, everybody, we good?
Yep.
Okay. I will call this meeting, it is 7:31 of the Economic Development Authority meeting of the City of Richfield, September 16th, 2024. We'll start with the open forum. So each speaker is to keep their comment period to 3 minutes to allow sufficient time for others. Comments are an opportunity to address the EDA. Please refer to the EDA agenda and minutes webpage for additional ways to submit comments. You can call into the open forum by dialing 1-415-655-0001 using webinar access code 2630-079-8317, and the password is 1234. Seeing no one in the audience, is there anyone dialed in? Is anyone called? No? Okay, thank you. Taking us to our first piece here, which is approval of the minutes of the regular Economic Development Authority meeting of August 19th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded. Any comments, changes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes have been approved. Item number 1 is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded. Any changes, comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda has been approved. Is there any items on the consent calendar?
No,
thank you.
President, there are no items on the consent calendar tonight.
Perfect. All right. Item number 4 then, consider a resolution authorizing application to the Hennepin County Business District Initiative Program. Executive Director Peelman?
Yes, thank you. I will ask Economic Development Manager Jan Youngquist to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, President Vries Daniels and Commissioners. Hennepin County's Business District Initiative, or BDI, program provides grants for implementation of strategies that enhance the economic vitality of priority business districts in suburban cities within the county. Staff is proposing to submit an application to the BDI program requesting $45,000 in grant funds to work with a consultant to develop a branding and placemaking strategy for downtown Richfield. Downtown has long been identified as a priority business district. Dating back to the 1960s, the area around Lyndale and 66th has been considered Richfield's downtown. In 1998, the Lakes at Lyndale Master Plan was adopted with the mission to make the area Richfield's thriving urban center. The Master Plan set the stage for significant redevelopment that has occurred in the area. Additional plans that followed include the 2013 Lakes at Lyndale Connectivity Plan and the 2016 Lakes at Lyndale Wayfinding Plan, which focused on branding the area as Lakes at Lyndale. However, the Wayfinding Plan has not yet been implemented, and the Lakes at Lyndale name is not well known in our community. The area that is considered downtown has grown since adoption of the Lakes at Lyndale Master Plan. The 2040 Comprehensive Plan guided both the Lakes at Lyndale and the Nicollet and 66th Street areas as mixed use and melded them together into an overall expanded downtown area. Additional priority was placed on downtown with the adoption of the 2023 to 26 Strategic Plan, which identified a vibrant downtown as a desired outcome, developing a downtown strategy as a strategic initiative to support the outcome, and proactively marketing downtown as an action step. Significant strides have been made toward advancing many of the themes for creating a thriving urban center that were identified in the original Lakes at Lyndale Master Plan. The downtown area does not have a distinctive identity, however. The proposed branding and placemaking strategy project would be rooted in community engagement to develop a shared vision of what downtown Richfield is and what sets it apart from our neighboring communities. The goal is to use branding and placemaking to build on and highlight downtown's assets in a way that drives economic growth, brings awareness to local businesses, and enhances downtown's vibrancy. The branding and placemaking strategy would also be used to inform implementation of the wayfinding plan. Applications to the BDI program are due on October 1st of this year. It's anticipated that Hennepin County Housing and Redevelopment Authority would announce its funding decisions by the end of 2024, and if funded, the project would commence in 2025. That ends my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? I'm going to ask outright. Yes, go ahead.
Not a question, but just a comment that I just want to say that I'm excited about this. I really appreciate you putting the sort of full history, and the point being that, you know, although we use different names for it, we've kind of been at the same goal for quite a long time. And I think this is a great way to focus us. And I think one thing in particular I want to call out, I was complaining last year or whatever about, sorry, about particular language that staff was repeating in many staff reports about it will serve as a vibrant downtown. And so much of our language about downtown has been in the future, like when, and you can go back 20 years, when Richfield Urban Village is done, that will contribute to downtown. You know, when City Bell is built, it will contribute to downtown. When, you know, you get the idea. But, so I love the idea about not only is this going to help guide our future, but it's going to celebrate what we have today. I think that's so important, and I think it's something that we haven't been doing nearly enough of. So I'm so glad that staff is pursuing external funding. I will certainly be supporting this, and I'm just really excited to see this moving forward.
Anybody else? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any other comments, questions? I too appreciate the detail because I never think of downtown as kind of the hub in that expansion. And so I think it is really good to get the community involvement and have a plan for where we're at today and really start to embrace whatever we may call it, whether it be downtown or something else. So thanks for going after this grant. I think it's a good use of those funds there. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Any EDA discussion items? Seeing none. Item number 6, Executive Director Palin, do you have a report?
I do not have a report tonight. Thank you.
Item number 7, claims. Is there a motion to approve claims?
I'll move to approve claims.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, concerns? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims have been passed. That takes us to adjournment. Thank you, everyone.